Hey kids, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have the lefty Stratocaster on the bench today. I'm going to try to do as much as I can in this installment to catch you up on what we've done. Check out the previous videos. Got the wiring sorted out. We're ready to put the pickguard back on. We got hardware for the bridge. We're going to get it all back together, and we fixed up on the neck because it was cracked. We fixed that. So let's get to work. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and please share the love. So we had a crack up here at the very tip of the headstock, and it didn't look like much until I took it apart, and I was able to flex it. The crack really only went to the first hole, although it looks like there's another part there. It's really just finished that's cracked there. So I separated it a little bit, injected a little bit of quick bond in there, clamped it overnight, and now it's as solid as a rock. We did have to put an oversized washer on just that tuner because, well, something happened and these old tuners would not, that one would not tighten up. It would not pull up. So I put a little bit of a spacer on there. That's the neck. We'll get back to that. Wiring is what's been the order of the day. I took two of his pickups out. They were questionable. Even though they were working, they were questionable and they were extremely low output. The Seymour Duncan is old and it was wonky when we first got the guitar. Somebody put screws that were about a mile too long and they were actually hitting on the bottom of the body, and the pickup was up and it was crooked and it was banging on the strings. So I had these pickups, came out of a more current Stratocaster. They're accurate and correct for the guitar. So the wiring, just to get a look at it. It's all there, and then that's what it looks like when you're done. I'm just going to tidy it up slightly. I like to make sure that any things that are dangling, I don't like them kind of wandering off in the cavity. Let's try to just tighten them up a bit here and put a zip tie on it. That'll hold them together. Now, this route in this guitar is pretty wide and pretty large, so it's pretty easy to put it back together. It just really goes on there like butter. Just make sure you're not catching any wires under the pickguard, and boom, just like that, it flops home. All right, I'm going to go ahead and screw that down. We also have the hardware came in for our bridge. Remember, one of them was broken and the actual thread certs were kind of sticking up a bit. We had to put them down. They are tight and secure. He plays this as a hardtail, so I'm going to put this down pretty close. We may have to adjust that accordingly, but for now we're going to put it all the way down and back it out maybe a quarter of a turn. Pretty simple stuff. We want to get that, these are to level the bridge, and then you do, of course, you do your individual string height with these individual saddles. I'm going to pause quickly while I put all these screws in. I think there's 11 or 12 of them, and we'll be right back. So we got the hardware in, we got the bridge back on, and we got one screw in. He's got it, it was set up as a hardtail when it came in. I'm setting it up as a hardtail to get back to him. And then we're going to bolt on the neck. That keeps it nice and tight to the body. And actually, I got these right at a nice little Nice and tight. Don't think they need to go down any farther. Just want them to be snug. So when you're playing it as a hardtail, if you were playing it with the trim installed and operational, you would back these off so that it can rock on these 2 points when you activate the trim. But we're not. So just snug them up, and that's good. That'll have that nice and firm. Let's get the neck on. See if we can do that without any kind of problems. And then we're going to go to cleaning up the frets, and pretty much from there, it's a setup. It's going to be a setup. I'm sure many of you have seen this before. It's pretty straightforward. Get one started and put another one. I put quite a bit of cleanup into this guitar. It needed it. It was, you saw the first couple of videos. It was in rough shape, and I mean rough shape. Many years of road gig activity. Yeah, borderline neglect, but you know what? When a guitar is making you money, you keep on banging away at it. Well, I remember being on the road. I didn't clean my basses very much. I just played them. I gave them to the tech. He made sure they were playing good, and that was it. You move on. Didn't worry about clean. Sweat. Blood. Sometimes tears. All kinds of crap gets on your guitar when you're working. Nice and snug. Nice and snug. I think I forgot a screw right there. Yup. So I had put this in a straight condition, as I always do when you're taking a neck off. But there it is. It's starting to look like a guitar again. A lot of work went into this. It was just a lot of work in the wiring. Because it's a lefty, sometimes it can be a bit of a puzzle. But usually you're going to wire it very similarly to as if it were right-handed. But when it comes to the pickups, you have to switch the bridge and the neck so that the 5-way switch starts up here is the neck. Thusly, this should be the neck, right? Then the neck and the middle, then just the middle, then middle and bridge, and then it should be just the bridge, and then of course your tones. Yep. That's the basic operation of a 5-way switch. I always get confused about the volume. I gotta go, okay, if I'm playing it this way, that's all the way up, that's all the way down, right? Yeah, something like that. It gets confusing with a lefty. I'm not gonna lie to you. I get them every once in a while, but that's why guitar teachers, when students come in and they notice that they're left-handed, right away they tell them, no, you have to learn how to play right-handed. And the reason they do that is because there just aren't a lot of left-handed guitars manufactured that are truly made left-handed, you know. And they make young students usually make them learn right-handed, even though they write left-handed. Anyway, I'm going to put a little dollop of lube up here. And on these saddles, I cleaned them all up, of course. I mean, this thing was just, I can't even tell you how bad it was. I literally went on the wire wheel and had to take just all kinds of rust, and there was a big chunk of rust under this side of the saddle where that bolt was broken, and it was actually holding it up. This thread set was popped up and proud to the, actually they both were a little bit, but this one was really bad. And I'm thinking somebody tried to Somebody tried to put some crap or something under there, and it literally rusted and fused to the bottom of the bridge. It took quite a bit of doing to get it off and get this thing laying level like it's supposed to and like it is now. I am going to, off camera, clean up the frets. There is no sense in the wear that's on this guitar going after it and really doing a lot. It is from every fret, but boy, that's the money zone right there. That's the money zone. So off camera, I'm going to polish the frets only. I'm not going to get after the wood or any of that. We're just not going to do that. It doesn't matter. The rest of the guitar is standing tall. It's got the perfect amount of dings and patina and what have you. And we're going to string it. And when I come back, we're going to string it and do a setup. Stand by. I forgot one last thing I wanted to do before we go to restringing. Off camera, I spent about 45 minutes cleaning up the frets, polished and shined them. I'm not doing anything else with the neck. It is what it is. It's a good player. It's going to be a good player again here in a short time today. But we have to drill out here and here, put in hardwood dowel, get ready to accept his strap buttons back in there because, yeah, they were quite a chore getting out, especially this one. I actually drew blood the first day that I was working on this thing, trying to get that thing out. I had to drill out off the head and get in there, and luckily I was able to get it out. So what we're doing is we're drilling a quarter inch hole in the back, and I'll show that one and then I'll do the other one. So we're going to go in until it kind of stops. And then our dowel will go in with some tight bond. I'm going to measure it and get it so where it has to be tapped in tight. And we'll saw it off. I'll show you that in a second. And then I want to do this now so that it can dry while I am doing the setup. And that can cure, and then tomorrow I can screw those in. So what we do is make a mark, push it in, it's quarter inch, and it's hardwood oak dowel. You want a hardwood, and tap it so that it's really buried in there, and then just make a mark. Now, I could glue these in and then flush cut them off, but I like doing it this way because it will go in there and then you can just lightly tap it with a punch and it'll actually bury it in there and make it even more secure. So once we do that, get the saw. We're going to cut right on the line, and that should get us right where we need to be. That should get us very close. Let's get this. I'm cutting on my mat. Come on. A little tricky when you get down to the end. It's just the last little bit that doesn't want to come off. We're going to put that part inside. A little tight bond. The side with the chip inside. Now, the trick to this is quite simply to get the glue in the hole. Don't put the glue on the dowel because all it's going to do is squeeze out even more than it normally would. Try to get a fair amount in there. My computer's talking to me. I get a fair amount in there so that at least we get some squeeze out. That way we know it is completely covered. And this will actually fuse and be so tight that it will become part of the body. And that's what we want. And then drive her home. Did I use the wrong one? Here we go. Then I take a punch as close to the size of the dowel as possible. And give it another couple of taps just on the dowel. And that really tends to push it in there and make it fuse. And you want it kind of flush, as flush as possible. Yeah. And rinse and repeat. We'll do the other side off camera, and then we're ready to proceed with the setup. Stand by. Alright, so the dowels are set here and here, and they're going to be nice and tight. So we got a couple of points here that I want to, especially on an old instrument like this, each saddle I want to put a little dollop of Tune It lube. That's just what it's called. It's called Tune It lube. And I use a little piece of bamboo toothpick. Of course, more than I ever need comes out, so I just put it on the bench. And what we're doing is a little dollop on each saddle. All right. This just facilitates the string coming across there. I don't know what condition they're in. They actually look to be in pretty good condition. But I've washed it and scrubbed it with a toothbrush so much. I just want to make sure there's a little dollop of lube at every point where the string touches, if that makes any sense at all. So we got there, of course, up here at the string trees, right underneath, just a little globule on there will go a long, long way to eliminating the dreaded tink whenever you're trying to tune. Tink. It'll get stuck on these things. And it doesn't hurt to put a little bit, and I mean a very little bit, in the nut slot. Where'd you go? Right there. Just a little bit. Doesn't hurt. And it'll never get down into the fretboard or any of that. You'll never feel it on your fingers. But it helps, and it goes a long way. And just don't put a lot on. You don't need a lot. You follow? How did this little screw get down here? We got errant screws disappearing and jumping out of the way. I got a whole box of spare parts over there from this guitar. Because, well, when you take them down to as far as we did, then that's what happens. I believe we're ready to go to restringing. Now, I'm going to, again, do this off camera because it just takes, he's using 11s. He's using 11s. So I'm going to get it strung up and we'll be right back. So, all strung up. Already pretty stable. There's a little buzz there. Okay. And onward and upward. So this is where it gets tricky when I'm doing a lefty, because I usually check the E string, and I still do, but get our neck relief first and foremost. Too tight. Too tight. But you can do it on the high or the low. Too tight. It's just that when the feeler gauge hits the fatter wound string, you can actually hear it scraping against it, and that's what you're listening for. So we're too straight. Yeah, I'm going to put a little relief in it. I'm going to assume that is an 1/8. Is it an 1/8 or 3/16? Don't think it's a 3/16. Pretty sure it's an 1/8. May just not be long enough. Yeah, there we go. I can already see a little bit of relief in it. I got about a 1/4 of a turn on it. It's down in there quite a ways, and I can't get the short end of it on there to get some good leverage. It's the very end of it is not wanting to grab. Do I have a better? Nope. Don't think I do have a better, a longer 1/8. That's okay. We're going to get another turn on it. It is definitely warm. And by his, when I first got the guitar, he said, make sure the truss rod works. Well, I checked it. It works. It's just that, say there's that much travel for the tool to go in, the very tip of it is where they've been hitting it like this with the short end of the wrench, and it has whopped out. You really need to get all the way down in there and make sure you're seated well before you try to turn it. another turn on it. It's definitely turning, and we're getting some relief, so we're going to remeasure. Remeasure. We should be getting close to where I want it to be. Oh, much better. Much better. I'm going to roll with that. It's hard to do it backwards and upside down. I'm going to roll with that. That seems nice. And retune. The buzzing on the D went away because we put a little relief in it. It was too flat. I like that. I'm curious where I want to get our string height set, and then I want to check the first fret action, but I don't hear any buzzing, so we're good. Yeah. I'm curious where our string action is. I think that neck relief is going to be fine. Let's just see if we can see. I hope you guys are catching this. Way high. Yeah. A little bit better on the bass side. The bass side is much closer. These are way high. And they are kind of jacked up all the way, so we're gonna drop them down. We may have to actually shim it a little bit. Luckily, it's got the auto shim function. Let's see where we're at. I know we got to come down a considerable amount on the treble side, all the way to about the D string. So I'm going to come down a good 2 turns and level them while we're at it. Make sure that we got good level saddles. That one's way wonky. Just level out the D. Those don't look too bad. Level out the D. Right there. Let's tune it. Every time you make an adjustment like this, make sure you're at pitch before you measure. I think his tuners are going to be the next thing that we have to do for him. They're okay. But they're old and they're worn and they're not too smooth. I did lube them, but they've just seen a lot of action, a lot of combat. This is going to take me quite a little bit of time to get this string action where I want. So I'm going to pause briefly. And it's going to take me longer than usual because it's a lefty. It's just a little more awkward. Stand by. Alright, we're in the home stretch. I got everything nice and level. I do not have to shim. We're still really good here. I don't know why, but the treble side was way higher than the rest of it, and I didn't do anything with these. I did have all the saddles off, and that's what we're checking now, which is I just guesstimated at intonation. Based on where I would normally measure them. And our intonation is, wow. That one's a little sharp. So when I took the saddles apart to clean the bridge and what have you, all I did was get a measurement back, a base measurement back here before I took them apart and wrote it down and tried to put them back as close to save me a lot of this hassle. Intonation for the nation. Yeah, these tuners are touchy. And again, this is a lot of chasing your tail. Sharp. We're going to call it a day on this one because it's going to need to settle. It's going to need to settle because it was apart so far. There we go. That one's a little too long. I came really close. Only a couple of them really needed to be adjusted a lot. And who knows if it was, the intonation was right to begin with. And I measured off of that. So anyway, I am going to attempt to form a chord left-handed. Don't laugh too hard. Let's see if I can do this. So, and we do this automatically with, you know, sounds pretty good. Not bad for left-handed. I'm not even a guitar player and you're asking me to play left-handed? I don't think so. It's Blackjack with 396 guitars. This guitar just got breathed new life into it, and it's going to play great. I know it. I don't know any lefties that I can give it to and say, hey, play this before I give it back to my client. I have so much confidence in this instrument already because of the way it's responded in the setup that he's going to go back on the road, and the guitar won't stick to him when he goes to put it down. We'll talk soon. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe.